The gantry, there is the flag, and the Lavant Cup is go. Who makes the best start? It is Ben Adams, who gets away nicely from the outside of the front row, but then the power of the Maserati kicks in, and Marino Franchitti in the white and blue Maserati Tipo 61 leads as they go into Madgwick corner for the first time. But look at Ben Adams cheekily trying to come back round the outside of James Cottingham as they come out of Madgwick corner. Narrow tyres, bags of power, sideways. The driver's having to really work hard on the big steering wheels to keep these cars in a straight line as they blast down towards Ford Water for the first time. There, Ben Adams in the little Lola Mark 1, looking to try to gain ground, but it's going to be through the corners or under braking where he's able to fight back. Fred Wakeman has got up and passed him already for third place as the cars now turn their way into the right-handed path of St Mary's, then into the left-hander. Wakeman under attack from Ben Adams there as they come through, but the leader, Marino Franchitti, taking James Cottingham with him, and these two getting away already. Under braking for Lavant corner, through on the inside, back into third place. There goes Ben Adams, so he does it, he gains the place on the inside line. Very brave stuff, that. At the back of that little queue there is Phil Quaife, hustling on in pursuit. See what progress he might be able to make on this opening lap. So Phil Quaife, number 16 in the Lister Jaguar flat iron, comes up to try and gain ground, and here, look, the power of the big Jaguars versus the Lola, which is great under braking. Ben Adams lost the place, maybe two, but he's got them both back because he brakes ludicrously late coming into the corner. Out of Woodcote now, towards the chicane for the first time. Turns right, turns left, but the race leaders already coming up towards the timing line. 20 minutes rather than a set number of laps this race, and it's Marino Franchitti who goes through up front. There is James Cottingham second, number 6, big gap back to everybody else for third place. Ben Adams just ahead of Fred Wakeman. They're going through Phil Quaife and Martin Stratton with the green crash helmet in the D-Type Jaguar in 6th place. So the D-Type, a successful Le Mans style car from 1955 onwards, that in the hands of Martin Stratton, one to watch as he pushes on to get right now onto the tail of Phil Quaife and James Thorpe's Lister Jaguar. Martin Stratton hustling on, but Ben Adams now trying to get away if he can from the more powerful cars behind him. Trouble is, he's already lost 4 seconds to these two, the race leaders. Marino Franchitti ahead of James Cottingham, and actually Marino, for the moment, looking as though he's extending his margin because he's pulled another 10th within the first third of the lap. Stratton, number 27 in the D-Type, crawling all over the back of the Lister Jaguar flat iron, so-called, in the hands of Phil Quaife. There's Cottingham's Tojeiro Jaguar in 2nd place. Raced here in the TT by Jim Clark and Marston Gregory. Ron Flockhart drove the car at Le Mans, but then behind is Fred Wakeman in the Cooper Jaguar T38, the ex-Tommy Sopwith car, and that in turn is coming under renewed attack now from Phil Quaife and Martin Stratton. And again through Woodcote, where he doesn't really bother to brake, so Ben Adams stretches the gap once more. So as predicted, through the twiddly bits, that car has the advantage, but in a straight line, the power of the cars behind tells. Somebody all over the grass there, getting it wrong, coming into the chicane. So that was round about the Walmer, Fiskin, Young area of the pack. Try and pick out who it was that got it all wrong there as the cars come over the line there through. Looked like it might have been number 38, yes, so the HWM Cadillac of Richard Walmer, I think, getting it wrong, but surviving a rather grassy moment as number 33, John Young, goes through in the Jaguar C-Type. 117 you can see there, the ex-Chris Kerrison, Lotus 17 and 22 on a big mission now. Julia Majoub really pushing hard in the Chevrolet-powered Sadler, number 5 Maserati, a factory car that spent much of its early time in South Africa in the hands here of Lucas Halusa. That trying to get up the inside and go through. It uses its power to move ahead of the 1098cc Climax engine Lotus 17 of Ian Dalgleish. Battle on still between Wakeman, Quaife and Stratton. 4th, 5th, 6th, these three as they power their way out of Lavant. Great noise all these cars make, different shapes and sizes as well as different constructors try to win sports car races from 1952 to 1960. Power was a small engine and nimbleness, or a big engine and all the grunt, the right way to go about it. And here a snapshot of the era on track. So number 11 heading towards us there, the Cooper Jaguar in the hands of the hard-charging Fred Wakeman. Martin Stratton still at the back of the pack. Martin's been a regular racer, regular winner at Goodwood over the years, but Marino Franchitti here doesn't just lead, he's getting away now. The margin is increasing over James Cottingham in 2nd place. So the margin 2 seconds at the start of this lap. You can see the effort that has to be put in. Marino Franchitti's hands barely still on the wheel. He's constantly twitching from left to right, trying to keep the car with limited grip on these narrow tyres, and all that power trying to keep it on the straight and narrow. There is James Cottingham. You can see the car dancing around underneath him as he balances the grip against the throttle. Marino into view, into Lavant corner, and there James Cottingham still chasing. Last time around, Marino Franchitti did the fastest lap of the race. That's Ben Adams, who now is rather self-isolating in third place. Nobody catching him, and he's not really being able to catch the two more powerful cars ahead, but he's still trying hard, no question about that. This car won the last race at Goodwood before the circuit closed in 1966, prior to its reopening in the late 1990s for the Revival events. Through the kink on Lavant Straight goes Ben Adams, and here, still fourth, Fred Wakeman is doing a really good job, but for how much longer? Phil Quaife comes up to have a go. Can't squeeze past on the inside nor on the outside. Martin Stratton behind, waiting to see whether a gap might just present itself. But still, the Cooper Jaguar hanging on then to fourth position. Fred Wakeman into the chicane. Is Phil Quaife going to be able to close under braking? Martin Stratton does in number 27, easily distinguished by his green crash helmet that always stands out. Martin Stratton, no matter what you put him in, makes it go very, very quickly indeed. But right now, that D-type not quite seemingly quick enough in a straight line. Phil Quaife is quick enough though, and he goes through on the inside, picks up a place, then goes by, and that gives him fourth, finally on the inside at Madgwick. Further back, Julian Majoub in that Chevrolet-powered Sadler we saw earlier on. That's up into now 8th place. And here comes Martin Stratton to see if he can get past Fred Wakeman. Not at Ford Water, he can't. Slots back in behind. So turn right, turn left through the sequence at St Mary's. There you can see Phil Quaife now trying to get away, while behind him Fred Wakeman is busy defending from Martin Stratton, who looks to the inside at Lavant corner, brakes late, the car quivers under braking. Martin hit the brakes just hard enough to stop any contact there. He'd almost committed to that move, then realised it wasn't on. Backs out of it, has to try again. The run down Lavant Straight then, this lap 5. Clock ticks on down, 12 3/4 minutes. And up front still, Marino Franchitti is the race leader. Down they turn then into Woodcote. That double apex right, that brings the cars down towards the chicane. Good part of the circuit is to watch how the cars drift, you see, and then as they come out of the chicane, if you're too eager with the throttle, the back will step out of line, and it gives the driver a few seconds of concern as they try to correct it, straighten it out, and they come booming past the pits, down now towards the long, long right of Madgwick. This gives you a chance to see exactly what Goodwood is like. It's not a totally flat circuit, but an aerodrome, as well as a motor circuit, and its beautiful flowing nature lends itself to good racing, and especially, of course, lending itself to these period race cars that would have raced here in the circuit's initial opening period. And they're looking across the countryside with a great example of how the cars look around the circuit. Absolutely ideal for them. Now, Phil Quaife in fourth place, going after Ben Adams in the little Lola. They're sixth, Martin Stratton, number 27 in the D-type, pushing on in pursuit of Fred Wakeman. He's tried his luck once at Lavant. He almost thought about doing it again here, but Fred Wakeman just hangs on to it, having to work so hard still behind the wheel. Finds an apex at the corner eventually, and then tails almost wagging. Out they come, onto Lavant Straight. Stratton looks like he's got the speed, but he just hasn't yet been able to quite outfox Fred Wakeman. Thinks about the outside on the run down to Woodcote. Almost alongside. Can Martin Stratton dive up the inside coming out of the corner? He thinks about it, but gets a face full of Fred Wakeman's Cooper Jaguar, so again, no real opportunity. Fred Wakeman brakes as late as he can for the chicane, turns into the right and then the left. Martin Stratton hunched over the wheel, working oh so hard as they come up towards the line. Martin's been a winner here in all three cars from the 1960s, for example. In these 50 sports cars, he's always a front runner as well. But Marino Franchitti is way out in front now, 3.5 seconds plus over James Cottingham on the completion of the previous lap. Although actually in the first sector this time, James Cottingham has brought the gap down, so it's now 3.3 as you see on the graphic. But Marino Franchitti still has enough in hand, doesn't he? He's controlling the pace. Accelerating his way then now down Lavant Straight, still with James Cottingham chasing after him, and in third spot, Ben Adams. Now the next target for Marino Franchitti is going to be to try to get up through the back markers. So getting out of the way, effectively there was Paul Woolmer in the Healy 100S owned by Ross Warburton. Marino Franchitti comes through. Birdcage moniker because of all the tubing that makes up the structure of the car, like a tiny birdcage hidden by the bodywork sadly here, but inside prevalent. Over the line goes Marino Franchitti, and let's see whether the margin is increasing. No, down by half a second, interestingly, and that's not just down to the traffic. So maybe Marino now know that he's got a reasonable margin, is content just to relax the pace a little bit. But there, James Cottingham is still charging along. Ben Adams, meantime, is a somewhat distant third, isn't he? And he is being reeled in by Phil Quaife. Here they come through the traffic, and Phil Quaife goes through. Does Ben Adams have a problem? Busily gesticulating to the team as he goes past the pits. So that was a slower lap by Ben Adams that time. Yes, I think he does have a problem. So Phil Quaife now released up into third place. He's been chipping his way forward, and look there, Martin Stretton has now also managed to find a way not only onto terms with Ben Adams, but he's got past Fred Wakeman in the process. Martin Stretton comes over the brow there, up towards St Mary's. There you have Fred Wakeman also going ahead of Ben Adams now. So sadly, a little Lola with a problem. And I fear that car there, going into St Mary's, is not long for the race now. So there you have, coming through the right-hander of Lavant, Martin Stretton. So he's working his way forward. Fred Wakeman having lost that place, dropping back a little bit as he goes with more opposite lock being applied out of Lavant corner. Accelerates down now towards Woodcote, and there is the Lola making a rather horrible noise as well. So it is bound for the pit lane after being on the front row of the grid. Real shame that, because Ben Adams was driving the 1098cc car very rapidly indeed. There you've got the Fred Wakeman Cooper Jaguar. So having dropped away from Martin Stretton, running out of playmates, I'm afraid, is Fred Wakeman. Into the chicane he now comes with just under 8 minutes still on the clock. Heads over the timing line, and the gap between the race leaders is definitely coming down. Marino Franchitti's advantage that was over 3.5 seconds is down to 1.9. So there's Stretton up into fourth place. But up front, Marino Franchitti, who does have the odd back marker to worry about, will have James Cottingham to really worry about soon. There he is, look, number 6. James Cottingham, who, like many here at Goodwood SpeedWeek, is leaping from car to car to car over different races. Lovely drift as he comes out of Lavant, fights the car, straightens it up, more power, and now heads down towards Woodcote corner. These two clear of the opposition, although Phil Quaife is the best of the rest, but he's the best part of 26 seconds back at the start of this lap alone. Marino Franchitti then into the chicane in a moment. Another back marker up the road that he will have to worry about in a moment. James Cottingham will try to seize the opportunity, if possible, to get closer. Carsten LeBlanc is the driver of the Healy that goes through. The ex-Earl Coplin American car, and he gets out of the way of the two leaders. You see how James Cottingham has to fight the car into Madrid corner. He is really hustling that now, braking as late as he possibly can. Lots of opposite lock applied as he hustles on. 1.1 was the gap at the start of this 10th lap of the race. So James Cottingham now really does feel, with 6.5 minutes on the clock still, that he's got a realistic chance of being able to score a race win here. There's the time left in the race for him to do it. And he comes now into St Mary's, drifts the car beautifully, sets it up for the left-handed section of the course now. That's Marino Franchitti coming out of St Mary's over the brow into Lavant corner. Blue tape across the front of the car just to try and keep some of the temperature in the engine, making it work at the best possible operating temperature. And there is, in second spot, the hard-charging James Cottingham, who on this lap has done an absolute best of anybody in the first sector. Marino Franchitti had upped his pace, but James Cottingham goes even faster, so the gap between them has been coming down. Is Marino going to be able to respond and edge away once more? Let's see. He goes past James's father, David Cottingham, in the Ferrari. James gets past as well. Into Woodcote they come. This will be the end of lap number 10. 5.5 minutes to go. So can Marino Franchitti fend off the charging Cottingham behind? Out of the chicane they come. Now up towards the timing line. And that gap may just have stretched a little. Let's see. Yes, it has. It's gone back up again. 1.6. New fastest lap of the race to Marino Franchitti. On the graphic, the purple against his position number. shows that he's done the best lap of anybody in the race, and so the message is getting through. You're being caught, Marino. Push, push, push. That is exactly now what he's doing. And you can see even more energy being put in behind the wheel, but James Cottingham does not lack the commitment either. There he is, through Ford Water into St Mary's. So the Maserati versus the Tojeiro Jaguar. The 1959 car is the Tojeiro Jaguar. Same era, same vintage, same year as the Maserati that it's chasing. And there is James Cottingham, flicks into the right-hander. Correction needed. Battle on lower down. Phil Quaife, is he being caught for third by Martin Stratton? It was under a second at the start of this lap, so Martin still also taking the battle as best he can to Phil Quaife. We didn't see that much of Phil in historic racing. He's been a modern GT racer for many, many years, but now, like many, being tempted by not just historic racing, but, of course, by fabulous Goodwood events. That marker to negotiate. Phil Quaife commits to the inside, heading into Lavant. Does he go through on the inside there of the Cooper Jaguar T33? Katerina Kimlova's car, that, number 33 on the outside there, once owned by Bernie Eccleston, who ran the late Stuart Lewis Evans and Peter Jopp in that car. So through past it they go, and down now towards Woodcote. This the battle that's developing nicely for third and fourth places. Martin Stratton almost there. He's done many a mile around here in all manner of historic race cars. Has that man, Martin Stratton, racer and preparer par excellence. Hooks a wheel onto the curb coming out of Woodcote. 3.5 more minutes are on the clock as he comes now out of the chicane. So the leaders have already gone by with 1.5 seconds between them. These cars over half a minute back, but their battle is no less intense. See the suspension working, you see the driver working behind the wheel. Great shot that as Martin Stratton leans on the D-type Jaguar, turning out of Madgwick corner. On now towards Ford Water. More traffic ahead, of course, now. So this fight for third place, Phil Quaife will be the pioneer, the first one of the two to come along and find where the back markers are. Have they seen me? Have they not? Where does he commit? Number 25 there is the next one to negotiate. The Cooper T49, the Cooper Monaco. And it's Jack Brabham, Roy Salvadori car, but White Cooper in the background then being negotiated, and Martin Stratton tries to seize upon that to get up the inside, but to no avail. Phil Quaife fends him off. Leaders have gone through, incidentally, with the gap widening with 2 minutes and change on the clock. Number 77, another of the Coopers being negotiated there, Tarek Mahmoud. Down in 14th place he is. And now the Jaguars come up against the Alton Jaguar Sports to try to go either side of it. In the end, they both dive up the inside there to go ahead of the Mike Barker designed and raced car. There it is, the red one in the background. It's just got a lap down. That's John Burton at the wheel. Phil Quaife keeping Martin Stratton at bay as they come into and out of the chicane, almost as one here. So the race leading cars, the Maserati and Tojeiro Jaguar respectively, about half a lap up the road. Such is their pace. A flying lap at the moment for the leaders is a 1:26. This battle is on for third place though. Phil Quaife keeping at bay. Martin Stratton out of Madgwick corner they come. Martin is almost running out of ideas now because Phil Quaife just seems to have the answer to most things that Martin has tried thus far. What's up his sleeve? Out of Ford Water, up towards St Mary's. Martin Stratton has a cheeky look on the inside, trying to unsettle Phil Quaife, but that's not on. Phil defends beautifully, turns right, heads left now through the second element to St Mary's. You see the way that the front wheels twitch left and right as the driver makes the input to keep the car in exactly the direction it's needed to be. Nose to tail under braking here for Lavant corner. Stratton turns right. Tails wag as the power kicks in. Onto Lavant straight they come. And that is where, seemingly, Phil Quaife has the advantage then in the Lister Jaguar flat iron, getting away. So the Lister Jaguar, slightly a younger car, only by a year or two, than the D-type pulls clear. We've got 42 seconds on the clock and counting. Marino Franchitti leads the way. So can he squeeze one more lap out of this, or will it be the checkered flag this time? It's probably going to be the last lap, looking at his track position relative to the clock. There are back markers ahead, and Marino has done everything right in this. When the gap came down to be a concern, he was able to up his pace. He's done the fastest lap, and so he's on target for a race win. James Cottingham, though, has thrown everything at this in second place. He's not done yet. those back markers up the road. If Marino Franchitti is delayed, then James Cottingham will try to take full advantage of that. Negotiates Richard Warmer. The next Sterling Moss car. So many here this weekend Sterling Moss had an association with. But the race leader comes down towards Woodcote. Marino Franchitti with the checkered flag at the ready. The clock has hit 0. He is on target to win the Lavant Cup. Lots of traffic ahead. He's got no time to admire the machinery, though. The HWM Jaguar there, the ex-Duncan Hamilton car just ahead of him in the hands of Gregor Fiskin, with whom he is sharing cars in other races. But Marino Franchitti powers across the line, takes the checkered flag, and Marino Franchitti wins the Lavant Cup for the 1952 to 1960 sports racing car.